I'd like to read a passage or a couple of pages, I think it is,
Oh,
from the
good.
first
Story
book,
time. Okay.
um, All That Is. And so this is the initial creation story, if you will. And this is what um, goes back to perhaps the Adam and Eve story, but this is from the perspective of three, or the collective of three that um, channeled the book for me, right? That gave me this information. So, um, so it was time to take the big step forward and birth this being into life. So this is the birthing of Adam, if you will, and to then go into dividing the two so that they may flourish as a polarity within a species. All that is decided to name this whole energy a soul. It was decided that when the time came for the soul energy to come into fruition, this energy would share a balance within themselves. There you go, supporting the other in their innate polarity. The physical aspect of the man and the womb, and it's pronounced as womb man,
Man,
right?
woman. Oh, I like that.
Earmarked for procreation would mimic some of the energies of the many that it was comprised of, from the many parts of the creatures it was built upon. Within this, too, there would be a polarity of that innate energy of all that is, that had discovered between male and the female of the many species. In its highly excited state, all that is summoned all of its energies of love, magnitude, majesty, and power. And while this was taking place, the rest of the surrounding energies and galaxies, in proximity to this being, became aware that something magnificent and mighty was about to take place.
Mm.
They stayed calm and quiet and waited in anticipation for what was to come. All that is took a deep breath, and with all of its good intentions for this energy's survival and abundance, it breathed into its creative energy of what
Right.
this being would entail. This being slowly came to life in the form of energy, intelligence, vibration, and frequency. As its energies and its frequencies began to connect to each other, lighting up and illuminating each part that was attached to the other, it slowly began to take shape and form. As it lit up from the electrical connections taking place within its being, it raised itself up to its feet. All that is could see that the frequency of love was the strongest energy that illuminated from the midsection of this being along the snake like skeleton that it had designed with the various other frequencies that would make up the energetic framework of this being. It watched as these energies it watched as these energy centers ignited and came to light and connected with all the other circuits within the body that made up the cells and molecules of the body. As it progressed to become a whole, it continued to progress towards the top of the body, where the most important area of the body was beginning to develop. The heart area, where the love frequency resided, was sending all of its vibrations and energy towards the development and construction of the intelligence and the other light energy centers that would reside in the throat, the eye area, and the crown area. All of these areas began to ignite and create their circuitous journey of developing these areas and connecting all the energies to their cells and molecules.
Mm.
It was quite fascinating to watch all that is wept as it experienced a sense of relief as these creations came into fruition before its eyes. This was very much like it had imagined this creature to be, and more.
Okay.
As time went on, all that is wondered if it was time. So this was a few pages later, right? And a
Mhm.
few, maybe a little while later. All that is wondered if it was time to create Adam's polarity and bring into existence the other half of his soul so that they could begin to interact and procreate and further develop their species. All that is decided that it was time, and so it left Adam's side and went to a quiet place so that it could concentrate on its decision whether to sever Adam's being or create a new one. After much thought, it decided to create a new one, endowing this creature with the female parts of procreation to match those of Adam's male parts in their polarity. All that is summoned all of its creative energy again, bringing forth all of the plans that it had made earlier into the forefront of its energy and with intent as it brought this new creature to life.
Mm.
As the work began, all that is again was fascinated by the process of bringing this creature to life. It remembered the process of bringing Adam to life and it became overwhelmed with the love energy. It was overwhelmed and in awe of what it had created and how Adam was now progressing so well with his life and his existence. It knew that this creature would be that much more special as it was to be the polarity of what Adam was, and so it began to, in its mind, imagine all the things that Adam was not and endowed this creature with those energies. As it did this, all that is would often go into a dreamlike state as it began to imagine the possibilities of what this creature would become. All that is forced its thoughts and energies back to the task at hand to continue the sacred work of bringing this being into existence. During this time of trance and dreamlike existence, all that is wandered deeply into the earth, trying to find the essence of its creation. As with Adam, all that is breathed energy into this being and allowed for all of the connections to interact with each other and the various parts of all the other creations to meld and connect their energies to the central body and the central chakra system. As these energies were developing, all that is paid special attention to the womb and the capabilities of this creature, and that it would be bringing new life into existence. It carefully crafted and worked on all of these energies so that they were perfect and to its utmost satisfaction. Once the body was created, the process of bringing the head into fruition was the most extensive and intricate work that needed to take place. So, all that is devoted much of its effort to this process. It resulted in creating a beautiful looking creature with finer and more delicate features than Adam. It also gave this creature all of the mannerisms that would allow for this being to nurture and take care of itself, Adam, and their progeny with all of its heart energy.
Mm.
It provided this creature with all of the things it saw that Adam was deficient in or missing, and so this creature, in its mind, would be a complex and highly intelligent being. All that is was immensely proud of its accomplishment, but when it was time to finally bring this being into life, it became very anxious. It was time, but it was still unsure if this was the right action. It began to worry about Adam and what their relationship might be like now that this new creature would be introduced into the world that they had created together. All of these thoughts were going through its mind. So all that is paused for a while and contemplated its actions for some time. It began to envision various scenarios in its mind about relationships, emotions, and the feeling of how all of this would manifest within the workings of what had now been created in the garden. So these frequencies that were brought in, and this was more recent though that it impacted us, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so it relates to music,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
right? And we talked briefly about this. So
Hmm.
after Second World War, which was I think in around the 1950s, right?
Hmm.
That's when this whole thing sort of came into our reality. I'm reading again from the book, All That Is Progressing to the Fifth Dimension, and
Hmm.
this is available on my website. Okay. We have, as light beings, seen energy and frequency in its various forms. We have exploded in many dimensions and in various life forms, and even this is a vast exploration by itself. There are so many aspects that one can choose from to explore the potential of frequency. Music is just one tiny element of this energy, and in its vastness, it can unearth so many emotions across the spectrum of any living organism. We have seen experiments conducted on your earthly plane with music and its interactions with humans, animals, and plants.
Mm.
Plants are happier when they are in the presence of music. Their leaves and their energy is much more vibrant
Mm.
and healthier than without the presence of music. Animals' ears pick up and their demeanor changes in the presence of music. However, the music that has been playing upon your planet, as touched on in earlier chapters, has been tampered with, and this is such a sad deviation from its beautiful element of frequency. All it took for the dark energies was to change the vibratory meter just a few degrees, and it changed the energy from that of divine to tainted. It is a fine threshold to cross, and yet it was done, so that you were subjected to music with an underlying tone that is harmful to your being, the collective, and your environment. A terrible wrong was endowed on your earth population by your governments and leaders as they embraced the dictates of their dark overlords. The natural frequency of your music in tune with nature was tuned to the harmony of 432 Hz. Subsequent to the dictates of your society in the 1950s, it was dictated into law that all music and its instruments be tuned to 440 Hz. What
Sorry.
essentially took place was that which was perfect was infiltrated and ever so slightly demonized, so that every musical instrument, all music produced, all concerts you heard since that time was tuned to this tainted, distorted, low vibrational frequency. The original frequency of 432 Hz was in tune with nature, it was healing. It was a healing, pleasing tone to your ear and to your body as a whole. It was in tune with all living creatures around you, including the water, the foliage, and the animals. By changing the frequency to 440 Hz, the ruling class, in their depravity, found a way to invert purity and allow for their dark trickery to enter the field in ways encompass the many and destroy all things created by all that is in its perfection. The tone was then brought into law and is still to this day what is being practiced upon your earth plane, and many of you do not know of the depravity that this is causing your body and mind. It is tuned to lower your consciousness and sever your connection to all that is. It destroys the delicate connectivity of the fabric of the universe that connects you to the larger multiverse. Do your own research and listen to music that is available in these two frequencies and compare them. I have done this, and there is a vast difference. If your ear is not able to discern the difference, then watch experiments that have been conducted on water to demonstrate the visual difference found
Oh,
on a
right. Of the frequency.
molecular level
Yeah.
between these two frequencies. I think that guy's name was Dr. Emoto, I think. I've
Yeah.
seen those.
Document. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really fantastic. These discoveries make us very sad as these atrocities are done to you on a mass scale to affect the entire population. This has become more dangerous in the last few decades with the introduction of the cell phone, where most everyone owns a device and is addicted to this technology. The embedding of these low vibrational frequencies are closer than ever to your brain and your body, and so this is being bombarded all the time. We suggest that you try your best to move away from these tones and find music that is tuned to the more natural sounds of 432 Hz. Tune your musical instruments to this tone, and you will see the change in not only yourself, but the ones that listen to your music as well.